Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. It's question time now as we finally come towards the end of the international break. Barcelona are back on the agenda, and in today's video I'm going to be addressing some of your questions and discussing some important topics. So sit back, relax yourselves. Let's do this. I want to start first and foremost by putting to bed a particular rumour that came out just yesterday with regard to Antoine Griezmann and his future at Barcelona. I want to put this to bed straight away because a few people were saying to me, is this true? Is this going to happen? What's the latest on Griezmann's future? And it's incredible, really, just a few months into his Barcelona career, and we're already having to talk about his long-term future. And that's simply because just a day or so ago, El Chingarito came out and said that Antoine Griezmann is already thinking about his departure from Barcelona in the upcoming transfer window. And that, for me, is something there you can write off, because El Chingarito are one of, if not the, most unreliable source in the Spanish media. And that is saying something, because there's quite a few unreliable sources out there, but El Chingarito really are not close to anything at all going on at Barcelona, and that there can be cast aside. What I would say, though, is, on a wider scale, don't be surprised, though, to see more of these. This one, I'm absolutely sure, is nonsense. It's premature. There's no way that Griezmann would even be thinking about that right now. Not this early, but as time goes on, if things continue the way they are doing, I've said it before, in January, there'll be rumours. There really will be. If things continue like this, if Griezmann is not quite working, if he's not quite fitting in, if he's staying out on the left-hand side and being cut adrift, really, on the left flank, there will be rumours, and in particular, there's going to be rumours there with Griezmann, with Neymar, with them swapping places. However you want to play it, people will be talking. And this, for me, is why it's a huge few months for Griezmann. It really is, not just for Griezmann, but also for Barcelona in terms of the huge investment they've made on this man. It's a massive few months. He's got to come back now from the international break, hit the ground running, start to play himself there into some form, score some goals, provide some assists, start linking up now with his teammates. But also, from a Barcelona point of view, you've got to go and give him the platform to express himself. And we've spoken about it in the past few days. You look at what he does with France against Albania. We all saw him. We saw him get on the ball so frequently, so centrally, the hub of everything there, receiving passes, giving passes, making runs, having an impact on games. But in order to see that in a Barcelona shirt, you've got to bring him into play. You've got to give him there the foundations to make that kind of contribution happen. And right now at Barca, he's not getting that. He's not getting the service. He's not feeling comfortable. He hasn't adapted. We need all of those things to come together to ultimately see the Antoine Griezmann that we know. And if we now move on to one of the big topics, not only in Barcelona, but the world of football right now, and that is with regards to Mauricio Pochettino. And I have been inundated with questions about him, about his sacking from Tottenham. That's exactly what's happened, but also with regard to him possibly taking over at some point at Barcelona. Now let me just break that down. Number one, let's talk first and foremost about the fact that Pochettino has been sacked as Tottenham coach, and that's a massive surprise to me. He's been there for 5 years, in which time he's transformed their club. Tottenham was sort of a in-between club for so many years, in and out of the Champions League, never really showing that consistency. But under Pochettino, they've gone up to a different level. He's been a real force there in the Premier League, and of course, in last year's Champions League, going all the way to the final after their heroics against Ajax in the semi-finals. And I'm really surprised here that Tottenham have taken the decision to sack Pochettino, because recently they've been on a very poor run of form. They've not started the season well, and even at the end of last season, things did start to tail off for them in the Premier League. And Daniel Levy here, the hard-faced man in charge of Tottenham, he's taken that big decision to sack him, and it just highlights once again this season the ruthlessness right now in modern football. Clubs want success, they want continued success, and they won't accept anything less than perfection at some clubs. They really are chasing those kind of dreams, and we've seen it this season at Bayern with Niko Kovac, now of course with Mauricio Pochettino. And like I've said before, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Zinedine Zidane walk out the door or be pushed at Real Madrid if things go sour in their game against PSG. And especially now with Pochettino waiting, I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. Clubs are ruthless. Nobody right now seems to be safe. But you all know where I'm going with this, and this is where the frustration lies right now at Barcelona, because all the while this is going on, Barca are here with nothing. We're settling for mediocrity, no movement, no pressure, no hint of change. And honestly, guys, we've all been here time and time again now. We just don't get it. Nothing makes sense right now with regard to Valverde. However, However, moving on to the second half of those questions from you guys there, when the time does eventually come for a managerial change at Barcelona, I would say on the face of it, it's extremely unlikely it's going to be Mauricio Pochettino. Now, the reason I say that is he's a brilliant coach, no question about that. He's a fantastic manager, but his Espanyol past would work against him with the Barcelona job. And to be honest, as a former Espanyol player and as a former Espanyol coach, winning at the Camp Nou he did in his Espanyol coaching days, I don't think, to be honest, he would have any interest in coaching Barcelona. He's said as much before, and for that reason, Pochettino can be ruled out, but his sacking just shows the ruthlessness at most elite clubs. And I just want to follow on there. Now we're talking on the managerial front. I'm not going to go too much on about Valverde. We all know the opinions on him. We all know the situation right now. But I actually want to go to a question here, very, very intriguing one that I was asked. And I do get asked this quite frequently. Basically, if Valverde this season was to somehow, incredibly, win the Champions League, would I then still be Valverde out? Or would I change to Valverde in? That's the question there. And like I say, it's a good question. What I would say is 110% Valverde out. And that's what we have to do, guys. We have to stick to our principles at Barcelona, because for far too long now, we have been going through this situation with Valverde, and we can't allow that to be altered because of a Champions League win. Now look, if we win the Champions League, if somehow we manage to do it, I'll go mental. You'll be right here with me, guys. It will be an absolute party. But at the end of it, I would still say it's time for change. And if anything, Valverde winning the Champions League, that would be the perfect time to bow out. Then you could say, look, I've won 2 La Liga titles, I'm bowing out with the Champions League, I'm Ernesto Valverde, drops the mic, and that would be great. That would be a brilliant way for Valverde to leave the club on a high, full of optimism, full of confidence, leaving the club in a good way, and that would be a nice end to Valverde's managerial career, and then we could go on to the next chapter and see how that goes. So for me, even if Valverde delivers an unlikely Champions League title, because of what we've seen, because of the consistent performances that we've seen that are not Barcelona-like, he would still have to go. And just finally, guys, I want to move on to something here which is also very close to many of our hearts, and that is the future of Riqui Puig. Young Riqui Puig, so talented, so exciting, one of the best youth players now, not only at Barcelona, but right throughout world football, and sadly, we may not be seeing him in the first team at any point this season, because Patrick Kluivert, the head of youth football at Barcelona, has recently come out to the media, and he's actually said, I believe Riqui Puig should go out on loan this season, and that pains me. It really, really does there. Because on a wider scale, this summer, I was really excited. We brought in Victor Valdez there as the Juvenile A coach. We had Patrick Kluivert brought in to oversee youth football there. And then we had Eric Abidal, a guy that we all know as the sporting director. And on the face of it there, I was thinking, this is good. We got 3 football-minded people there who understand the club. Maybe here, we could make some insightful decisions. But no, it just hasn't happened. And it just goes to show, doesn't matter who you bring into this board, whatever happens, you can't get around their policies. You can't get around the way they do things, no matter who you bring in, no matter what faces you've had. And that's why the likes of Carlos Puyol have rejected jobs under this board, because they know they can't change it. Valdez himself was very, very frustrated when he was in and around this. He said, look, this is not the club that I left. Because here we are, the head of youth football, Patrick Kluivert, is actually saying there to one of our brightest youth prospects, go on loan, leave the club, get out the door. That's not right. Because yeah, Riqui Puig should be playing at a better level than Barcelona be, no question about that. But that level should be the first team. We see this guy. We see the quality. You saw it the other day in the friendly match that Barcelona played against Cartagena. We all watched that. We all saw the quality there of Riqui Puig. Now, a lot of people say, well, it's against lower league opposition. Cartagena are not a great side. And yeah, they're not. They are a lower league team. But we also saw all that quality in pre-season against top teams, against top players. Whoever he's come up against, he's always left the field there with a good impression, with a real statement. And for me, Puig is ready. The only problem is there's no place for him. And that's the problem at Barca right now, because these guys, they need that platform and it's just not there right now. And so that there, guys, is my thoughts on some of your questions right now relating to Barcelona. Like I say, club football now very much nearly upon us. Barcelona back in action on Saturday, away at Leganes, and with injury and suspension problems, there's a lot to talk about. And of course, in the days to come, we're going to be talking about it all. Thanks as always for joining me, guys. Thank you for your questions. I hope that I answered them there in a decent way. I will see you soon, but until next time, as always, Visca! El Barça.